Kristensen Rousoff was not immune to being compared to her dad, both in terms of wrestling ability and size. Just how tall was Robin? Some people report that she was even taller than her dad, but was this the case? Tune in and see. André the Giant, born May 19, 1946, as André René Rousimov, in Coulommiers, France, is said to have weighed an astounding 13 pounds at birth and just kept growing from there. Though he was frequently touted as a Grenoble native of the French Alps during his wrestling days, the truth is that he spent his childhood in Moulins, a small town 40 miles east of Paris. André was the middle of 5 siblings, none of whom had the kind of growth spurt that he did. Curiously, his grandfather is reported to have been unusually tall, which may be indicative of a genetic connection. André's childhood was far from privileged. His family was employed on farms in order to scrape together a living, and quite often, just to survive. As a child, André started to exhibit symptoms of gigantism, but these were first explained away as genetic traits. At the age of only 12, he already stood at 6 feet 3 inches, and his ongoing growth was a cause for concern. Curiously, in childhood, he had not exhibited symptoms of hormonal imbalance, so his ailment was all the more baffling. He started school at age 6 and was an exceptional student, with a special interest in math. André also did exceptionally well in sports and played goalkeeper for his school's soccer team. Neighbors and friends remembered how hard it was to get the ball by him, no surprise, given that at age 10 he was already a 6-foot wall. Later, his father removed him from school because of the financial difficulties of their family. André, who'd lost interest in studies and figured he'd be a farmer anyway, didn't protest. He assisted on the family farm, performing the tasks of 3 men owing to his tremendous strength. But even that became monotonous after some time, and he pined for an even bigger challenge. André traveled to Paris at age 17 and there befriended a wrestling promoter who recognized his talent. André agreed to try professional wrestling, and it soon catapulted him to international fame. Interestingly, in his school days, André sometimes took rides with his neighbor Samuel Beckett, who was a famous playwright. André, however, had left school by age 14 and was deeply involved in farm labor. His family mentioned that his abnormal growth only became more noticeable when he reached nearly 6 feet 6 inches at age 15. It wasn't until decades later, however, that André was diagnosed with acromegaly, a condition where the pituitary gland overproduces growth hormone. This resulted in gigantism in his teenage years and ultimately resulted in the expansion of his head, hands, feet, and chest. His shoe size was an incredible 22, and a standard beer can appeared small in his large hands. André's height caused problems other than public display. The world is not constructed for giants. As an example, he was unable to use a telephone dial by his fingers and had to use pencils. Life as a wrestler on the road was harsh, 300 days per year on the road, but airplane lavatories were not large enough for him, so he used a bucket. He also discovered most cars were extremely uncomfortable unless specially adapted. André frequently spent hundreds of miles sitting, causing him pain in his neck and back. André didn't even realize he had acromegaly during his childhood years. No diagnosis was made growing up in France. It's rumored his first diagnosis was made in Japan in the year 1970, although it was confirmed following a 1981 broken ankle operation. Treatment was available that could have feasibly prolonged his life, though not undo the growth. André did not get the treatment, however, because he was afraid that it would disrupt his wrestling career. His enormous size, after all, was at the core of his popularity and fame in the ring. In the 70s and 80s, André was a giant figure in wrestling. He stood above his rivals in both height and status, providing comedic relief and wonder to audiences globally. Accepting his affliction, he ruled the sport and even translated his success onto the big screen with the role in The Princess Bride. In 1987, André finally faced Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3 in a historic confrontation. Unfortunately, he died a decade later at age 46 in France. André frequently complained about the attention his enormity generated. Most people wanted to be around him simply because of his size, which he disliked. Andre could also imbibe huge quantities of liquor, reportedly downing 100 beers or 20 bottles of wine in one evening. Actor Cary Elwes, his co-actor in The Princess Bride, explained that Andre drank to manage pain from chronic injury, not because he liked to. Years of grappling and supporting his huge body had worn him down. His precise height remains controversial. Official wrestling records claim he measured 7 feet 4 inches, but his French passport read approximately 7 feet 2 inches short. Others say he was around 7 feet or possibly shorter. Weight estimates vary from 380 to 555 pounds, though he was often reported at 520 pounds. Andre used to say he just used what God blessed him with to earn a living. His height, though sometimes a liability, turned out to be his biggest strength. His wrestling career started in France in 1966 as Jean Fear, Gentle Giant. He competed in Japan as Monster Rausimoff later on. In 1971, he went to Quebec and 2 years hence was a phenomenon, filling up wrestling stadiums. He launched his career after meeting Vincent McMahon Sr. of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, now WWE. Andre initially came to North America in 1971, competing in Montreal as Jean Fear. Interest waned despite liking Quebec. His friend Valwis facilitated a meet with McMahon in New York. McMahon has said that he was taken aback by Andre's appearance, stating that he was not ready for the Giant's presence in spite of photographs and tapes. He immediately knew Andre had the potential to be wrestling's biggest draw. Andre the Giant's movie career was launched when he appeared as Fezzik in The Princess Bride, 1987. Though director Rob Reiner had trouble hearing him speak during auditions, Andre was given the role and gave a standout performance. Even with acute back pain, he made it through the film under the support of cables for tricky stunts and horseback riding scenes. Andre had previously appeared, in a 1967 French movie, and in television series such as The $6 Million Man and The Fall Guy. He even received an invitation to cameo in Trading Mom, 1994. Still, Fezzik was the role that established him. Andre was so vain he brought a copy of the film everywhere he went, showing private screenings frequently. Jean Christensen was a central figure in Andre's life, albeit their relationship remained largely private. She was born in Minnesota in 1949 and worked as a model and a wrestling PR agent, where she met Andre. While not love at first sight, they developed a close bond over time. Though some say they wed, no record of it exists. Their affair lasted through the 1970s and 80s and gave birth to a daughter, Robin. Andre at first refused to accept paternity but did after a test was done and proved so. Robin, however, saw him only occasionally. Jean kept to herself after the breakup and passed away in 2008. Andre was hailed and misjudged. He was 46 when he suffered congestive heart failure caused by untreated acromegaly while attending his father's funeral in France. He was too big to be cremated by French facilities, so he was shipped back to the U.S. and cremated, his remains scattered on his ranch in North Carolina. A WWE Hall of Famer, Andre's impact on wrestling was immense. His WrestleMania 3 match against Hulk Hogan is legendary. After his passing, Stephanie McMahon shared how deeply she connected with him, calling him her childhood best friend. Robin, Andre's only child, inherited all his property. Despite a strained relationship, Andre made her his main beneficiary. Robin briefly pursued wrestling before moving into acting and legacy work. She contributed to the Andre the Giant documentary and Closer to Heaven movie. Her net worth is estimated to be $10 million due to royalties, licensing, and media opportunities. She owns the rights to Andre's image in games and merchandise. Robin resides in private life in Seattle. While not as enormous as her dad, she is 5 feet 11 inches and tips the scales at approximately 220 pounds. In keeping her father's history alive, his legacy lives on.